There's one other change that you have to make. If you're using Rails, you're probably using a lot of active support stuff, none of which is available to you. Well, rather than bringing in all of active support, which seemed like an overkill in this particular case, all we really needed was that constantize method. So I grabbed one off the net, pretty simple, and all this will do is essentially take a string name of a class and turn it into a constant so that we can use it to find the last object that we created. All right, so, and that's essentially it for running inside. I'll show you both running, hopefully, if I can here in just a little bit. Let's talk about versioning. So one of the big debates right now in web app APIs is how do we version our APIs, all right? So there are a couple lines of thought, and I'm going to go through them real quick, and I'm not going to make a decision for you. This one is your call, but I'm going to give you hopefully a few pros and cons of each of the methods that will give you, maybe help you make that decision on your own. And the decision might change from project to project. But let's look at the first one. So the first one essentially is path-based. All right, this was kind of the traditional way that APIs would do their versioning, where you literally had a separate namespace, and the implementation in Rails would typically look this way. You would have a namespace called v1, and that might be under an API namespace. And inside that namespace, you would have a cards controller. And then if you had a v2, you would create a separate namespace, and it also would have a cards controller, and they would be completely independent. All right? So in a lot of ways, that's actually one of the pros of going in that method. You can perhaps, especially if you keep your controllers really light, you don't even need to do this, but if your controllers get a little heavy, you might be able to share behavior that is similar between the two, but ideally what you want to do is pass that behavior off to the models. And that's